Hello, so welcome to the video. What we're going to talk about today is a type of landscaping that actually makes a lot of sense. Is initially, the concept is, well, it's not been discovered or anything, it's just doing things, but the concept basically is finding plants that are native to the area that you're at and using that in your landscaping. I mean, that should not be anything earth-shattering, but when you think about that, the native plants are very well suited for the environment that they're from, or they're where you are, right? So if a plant over centuries or time or whatever, a genus of plant has thrived in a certain area, that means that the conditions of that area are suited to that plant. Okay, so okay, that's great. It makes for happy plants, right? But one thing, when we're trying to tie everything together and we're trying to make sense of things and we're trying to act as green as possible, environmentally, as far as sustainability, and we're trying to save water and cost, okay? A plant that was originally generated or evolved in a different climate that's moved to a drier climate is going to require a lot more water, right? And water is expensive. Water weight is wasteful. Expending water on a plant just so it looks pretty, that's really not suited for this area. That's probably not the most practical thing to do, and probably not the most sustainable thing to do. So, in a nutshell, what we do is we plant those things that are native as possible to where we are. It's extremely important when you're in very dry climates. I remember 40 years ago driving out to the desert in the Mojave Desert in California, and getting used to seeing, as we moved from more green areas to the desert, getting used to seeing the change, right? You know, green grass and trees or whatever, and then less and less and less and less and less. And then all of a sudden, turning a corner in this little desert town, you got somebody in a house whose lawn looks like it's right out of a Long Island postcard or whatever. Beautiful green lawn with the shrubbery and everything. And I remember, even as a 19-year-old kid, thinking to myself, that has got to be a lot of money and a lot of work and a lot of water and a lot of expense. And you look around, it's like, there's not a lot of water here. That's not really good. Yes, this person had their little slice of heaven, but at what cost? Okay, so when we have to understand, in the hospitality industry, that we're dealing with a lot of people, and a lot of people have opinions. And if I, as a 19-year-old, back in the 80s, who we didn't really care about a lot, well, it's not we care, but we didn't really know, we weren't as aware of a lot of the environmental issues as we are now. If I noticed that, there's a lot of your customers are going to notice things that are out of place, and the wastefulness that includes. All right, so the type of landscaping that we're talking about is xeriscaping. Okay, it's spelled with Xeriscaping. Xeriscaping is basically using those plants, and it's intended, generally speaking, like I said, for those drier climates where you don't want to put, very delicate grasses and things in those areas, right? But it makes sense anywhere you go. If you choose the plants that are local, well, it just stands to reason it's going to make more sense. Here in North Carolina, we see palm trees, and there's people who are trying to get those banned because they don't belong here, and they cause issues. Now, yeah, they probably use less water or whatever, but there's always things. Anytime you introduce a plant to an area that it doesn't belong, there's going to be something. There's going to be either diseases, or it's going to take nutrients away from the things that are always there. So xeriscaping is a very, very good thing to do. You might not want to do it completely. You might want to plant some grass for certain reasons or whatever. Golf courses, xeriscaping is going to be more difficult. But anyway, xeriscaping It just makes sense. All right?